Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. And today I am grateful for the introduction from Kendra Maples with Culture Crush Business, because we get to talk to Jennifer Schilke with Summit Group Solutions. Welcome to the studio, Jennifer.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so pleased to be here, and thank you for what you do.
Oh my gosh, thank you. So we really only had a couple minutes, I think, at the most recent Culture Crush event at Arizona Wilderness. So I know we just both left saying we've got to get to know each other better. And when those conversations happen for me, I always say, well, if you have a viable business and you're a leader in our community, then let's have that getting to know you opportunity, but let's do it on air so that other people can learn and get to know you at the same time. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
And it was very exciting for me to receive that invitation and terrifying at the same time.
Well, you said you're new at this, so we'll go easy on you, as I typically do. And again, it's just nothing more than a conversation. And so oftentimes when we're getting on stage to speak in front of an audience, we have somebody read a bio, right? And they tell all the accolades. We don't do that here. I'd really like you to just introduce yourself. Who is Summit Group Solutions? You're the CEO. I know you've done a lot of vast things, and I think you're fairly new to Arizona.
Yes, that's
How
correct.
new?
3 years.
Okay, so brand new. Very good. Have we treated you well so far?
So well. Love the sunshine. Even love the traffic.
Yeah.
It moves quite nicely.
Compared to, where'd you come from?
Seattle area, Bellevue, Washington.
Okay, a whole different experience.
Completely.
So, Jennifer, tell us who Summit Group Solutions is first. Let's start there.
Summit Group Solutions is an IT staffing and recruiting firm. And so we provide talent solutions, really, for, if you think about it, every company now uses technology in some format. So we get to be part of that. And I really, really enjoy that. We're going on 17 years, and I'm a co-founder, and just really pleased to see how much the industry's changed, good ways, some little bumps along the way too, but it's a ride. And at the end of the day, the feedback that we get from our employees that are now on, to other clients it's just wonderful. That's why we're here.
17 years. And have you focused on Arizona specifically? And then the other half of that question is, how many different states do you serve, that sort of thing? And is Arizona part of that picture?
So interestingly enough, even though we were based in Bellevue, we started our business in Arizona back in 2008 due to a non-compete that we wanted to honor to preserve relationships. And then after a few years, we moved back to Bellevue where we lived and worked. And so that's where our predominant client base is. But we've also always carried the Arizona clients with us. And now we're getting into Utah as well. Post-2020, we're really across the nation.
Okay. Early days. How'd you land here? Founder of a company, co-founder of a company, in the role that you are as CEO. Walk us through the early days. Is this what you grew up thinking that you always wanted to do?
Absolutely not.
Right. I say that, of course, jokingly.
How many people can say that? I didn't. I grew up in an island, on the island of Kauai, and I wanted to get out because I love to learn. So I entered into the accounting field. I thought I was going to go to law school, but I had an amazing counselor at school. So I ended up at Deloitte. Not a bad way to kick off your career, for sure, in audit, and just got into consulting, really enjoyed it. And then I came home with my dream job, really. And I sat down and I told my husband, they said, create whatever you want. Tell us what this looks like. It was about, it was spitting distance from home, really. I could take my dog, I could take my daughter at that time. And my husband looked at me and he said, I'm not sure that's really where you should go. And my jaw, I looked exactly like your
jaw
dropped because I thought it doesn't get better than this. But he had been in the IT staffing world and he wanted to do something different and he wanted to start something new. So he said, I want to do this, but I want you to be with me and do this by my side. So off we went. And I'm not normally that obedient, but I said, okay, if you really think so. And it took me about 4 years to really get in the gear. I went from, being behind a computer, doing SEC reporting, consulting with people, and then being in a real people-oriented environment was very different. And I realized how introverted I really was.
I need to introduce you to the guest who was on just earlier. I told you about our show, Financial Footsteps, with the host, Chad Dean. And this gal is a CFO. I can't recall the name of her company, long time at American Express. And similar to you, just, found herself in roles and opportunities that continue to push and grow and help her expand, and has just flourished. So I would love to make that introduction, that connection. So your husband is the co-founder.
He is the
You
co-founder.
kept that a secret
Yes,
till just now. I didn't know that.
I needed a surprise to throw out
Right.
there.
And what role does he play then? Is he still actively involved in the business? So you're CEO. Tell us a little bit of what that's like, daily. I mean, CEO is a pretty standard title. How does that show up for you in the daily? And then what about your husband?
Well, for me, I was in the background for a lot of years, and then I stepped into the president's role, and I don't know what this is about. And I joined a CEO group, actually, and that's when they said, you need to step up. The background is not for you. There's a lot of pieces to this, whether it be marketing, being the face of the company, helping, strategic planning, and so on and so forth. So that really grew me, and I grew into the CEO role. I believe it was around 2018. And all along, our co-founder, who, yes, is my husband, because this is his passion, really it is, and this is what he does. He's on the operations side, and so he still functions as our vice president of operations, mainly on the client side, and that's what he loves, and he's so great at talking about people's businesses and helping them find solutions that are right for them. So it's been really amazing to watch. So we don't really have the same skill sets. So it was kind of easy to separate where we should spend our time in the business.
So what makes you guys different? You've been at this for a long time. And maybe the first question is it common for a company like yours to be in existence that long? Or is this kind of a turn 'em and burn 'em industry?
Well, it is a turn 'em and burn 'em industry. I think a lot of people thought, oh, that's easy. I see this happening. How hard can it be? It's a lot harder than you think. Agency recruiting in particular is more difficult. But as a small business, if you look at the statistics, especially, after 5 years, very few are lasting. So I'm really proud of what we've done. I'm really proud that we are that relationship-oriented firm, because that's really what it is. We didn't do a lot of marketing. It was just networking through people and finding out the needs of people. So I don't think that'll ever go away. And now with AI and technology being such a focus point for everyone, we're really pleased to be here and to have survived 2008 in particular and 2020 and beyond.
You mentioned agency. Can you explain the difference for us?
Sure. So I use, if you're an Amazon, pardon me, Amazon, but if you're Amazon, I use that because it's a well-known name, and you're recruiting for Amazon corporately. A lot of times there are people who are looking at your page and they're applying for the jobs, and they know your company and they want to work there because of your brand. For us, we're not a brand. We are in partnership for our companies. Perhaps sometimes Amazon, perhaps sometimes another company, a coffee company, a school even. And those positions are positions that are more technology oriented, more specialized. And so they use us to go and ask the right questions, find the right people, and make that match for them. If you think about the HR world, it's changed a lot over the past 10 years. 5 years even, and their scope is bigger. And so these types of jobs are very specialized, and that's what they use us for. And we have to go find the people. They don't necessarily apply. We have to find the skill sets and where these people are who might be a good fit.
How much of what you offer folks coming into the agency leadership development, is that an important component? I know that's important to you in your life, but how about the folks that you work with?
So our internal team, which is administrative, recruiters, account managers, they're under my close umbrella. So professional development is one of our pillars. For our extended team, our contractors that are on site with the clients, that's important too. And we've had people share their interest in different things and conferences, though we can't develop them because we're not the technology experts. They actually are. We find those things for them and come alongside them. So if someone expresses interest, we find ways that they can also grow.
You mentioned pillars, leadership development being one of them. Is that the right phrase?
That's correct.
Yeah. Can you speak to the others?
Yes, and I should correct myself. Professional development, hopefully in
You
leadership.
did say professional development. I said leadership. That's why I knew it was something slightly different.
Sure,
but yes.
sure. Our culture is a pillar for us. Absolutely, our vision, our mission, our values. Really important. That should probably be number one. And then obviously, since we're a business, operational excellence.
What sets you apart? I hear the people thread. Would you say that that's everything, or are there a few more components that when you have somebody give you feedback, either they've been placed or you've been working with a company for a long time, and they say, you guys, XYZ. What is that you know that you're doing it right? What makes you different?
I think it's the level of care we put in, which would lend to the people that are in place. We have bar raisers. I want bar raisers at our company. I want people who are invested in other people. Sometimes you have to teach that, and you know that this might not be the field for them, but there has to be an interest in doing better, in giving people what they need, what they want. Sometimes those aren't the same. And just that commonality toward our values in particular too, I think is really important. So when you have a group of people who are very, very different, but you can agree on some core values, I think you operate in harmony much more. And people do tend to see that. And we are very relational. So we love to be in front of our clients, and we like that contact because, again, you can put a job description online, but it never tells the full story. So to be able to talk with someone and really understand what their needs are far more important than just reading through a job description.
Are you helping? So you're helping more so, again, this is naive, but more so on the company side. So you're teaming up and partnering with the companies to go find those great candidates. Is that correct? Or are the candidates also coming through you?
Both. So we do some direct placements, but oftentimes we have people on board that we bring on board to work on a project for us. So they become our employees with the goal of eventually converting full-time to our clients. And we do have, we have our client base, but we also have a candidate base. And that's really how we started, was looking at a talent pool that was out there and trying to find the right fit for them through our network. And sometimes we get paid for it and sometimes we don't, but it's really the end goal is getting the right person in the right role.
What have you loved about this career and this industry, and what has been a challenge, and how have you overcome it?
So I never thought I would say this, but I love the people piece. And I think that shows how much I have grown, because I would not have said that probably even 5 years ago.
That totally surprises me because we've only met twice. And even just our energy together here in the green room, right when we entered, you just seemed not only just so vibrant, but also deeply connected with me very quickly. So that's fairly new for you.
Well, the one-on-one is very different to me than a broad audience. And I think I also was being that achiever. I was very focused on just work. And so I really didn't open up to people until going through ministry and spending time serving and doing, community service, things like that. So I'm glad you see a difference. That means that I'm on the right track. But I think that's both my challenge and my passion, because it is also exhausting for me. I'll go home, I'll go to a networking event, and I'm done. I am just done, and I have to read something or watch something that doesn't matter at all to just kind of take my mind away and reset and recharge.
I'm wired much the same way. I thought I grew up an extrovert. Well, I think I was an extrovert. Pretty confident. I mean, my report card always said, great student. She'd even be smarter if she'd stop talking all the time, And I was the entertainer. Everybody come, from your houses in the neighborhood and stand in front of our driveway. Well, we put on a performance that I created for all of you to enjoy, that kind of thing. And just loved being in front of people. The older I've gotten, the more quiet and the more solitude that I've required, especially after becoming a mom almost 30 years ago. And now when people assume that I'm extroverted, I simply say, I think I'm more of ambivert. I
Yes.
like you, I still enjoy being with people. I was at a networking event this morning with 80 people, many of which I'd never met before. Love that. You're our second guest today, and I produced a show earlier. We've had a lot of people in the co-work space. And like you, I will need to go home and shut it all down to give my brain and my heart and my mind a rest, and even my body, my energy as well. So I get that, and it's interesting. The more I speak to leaders like you and I, the more powerful folks who really are servant leaders and they're here to make a difference. They are often the ones like you and I that say they've got to take time away and they have to kind of shut it down and put a cap on it and recharge and refuel before they can go out there and really be a champion for others again.
Yeah. And you know what I like about that too is I've learned that I just have to tell myself it's that humility piece. It's not about you, Jennifer. It's not
I
about
keep
you.
forgetting that. Do you forget that, or do you?
I do. I get stuck in, oh, I'm tired, or oh, I'm uncomfortable, or I'm terrified. And then I just have to tell myself, but this isn't about you. You've made a commitment to your team to do XYZ. Therefore, you will execute on it. It's a little robotic, in my head. And then that connection, when you really meet other people that you can connect with, it's a game changer.
I remember reading something that you shared with us, the difference between kind of the I and the we. Is that what you're speaking to?
It is. That is definitely part of it. If I look at myself, there's so many things I could get stuck in, and I really have to take that away and just think of who I'm with and how much farther we can go together and how much better it will be and how we'll learn from each other. I can do something my way and it might work. Someone can do it another way and it's way more fun. Way more fun to get to the end of the other side. So the we is very important, and I think that we also builds that servant heart that you alluded to when you said servant leadership too, because you are thinking outwardly instead of inwardly. We can get all caught up if we just sit inside ourselves.
Yeah. You mentioned a mission. Can you talk a little bit about maybe what the transition was for you, or what was the catalyst to say, oh, there's a different way to show up?
It was probably coming through serving in ministry and being a part of the CEO group, and then realizing I do have a responsibility here. You don't get to just grab a title and say, this is who I am. You have to show it. And so in redoing our website, actually, that's where I actually had a lot of fun with it. And that's where I stepped in and thought, okay, we really have to think about this. So being the consultant that I am, we did off-sites where I threw yellow stickies around and we did fun things and we talked about who we were, what our mission was, what our values are, and what our vision is. And I think the vision and the values really are what I think of every day, because that makes this matter to me more.
And to include your team, that's what I'm assuming. It was your
Yes.
team involved in that. It certainly
Yes.
could have been something that you just did with the executive leadership team. But it sounds like a great deal of people were involved in the process.
Yeah, it was our whole internal team. And that was very important because I wanted to find common values too. And so, if I may, we have a little story with our values. And so it starts with integrity, because it starts with the person walking in the door and knowing that we all have something to give and something to do, a purpose for ourselves. And we have to really think about that. And that's, one of the pillars, the front pillar. And then it's, the dignity by which we do things, integrity, and all of those things are your hard work, your achievement together, the we again. But the other bookend is impact. And so if you think of integrity with the individual, integrity of the individual, and the dignity that they carry, and then the bookend of impact, and realize that each one of us makes an impact every day. Every day when we open our eyes and we walk out that door. And that's what's important. That lends to our vision, where it's not about what we have, but what we have to give. It's about what we're doing in our communities. It's about how well we're doing our work and raising the bar for each other, learning together. That really became our story. And that really made this a lot more meaningful to me, because you can put people in jobs, but that's not it. It's always been more about the relationship.
Impact. I would love to have you define impact. I want to do the same thing with dignity, just from your perspective. This is on the spot. And then the first one you said when you first beat that.
Dignity.
Dignity. But even before that, was there another?
I may have said something.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's just go with impact and dignity. How would you define impact? If someone were just new to your team, what would you say to them? What is impact for you guys?
It's big. It's bigger than you think. It's in every word and action that you do. It's everything you touch. It's not just the work that we do, but it's the people side that we have an impact on. It's whether you smile or you frown. It's very simple things. It's a gesture even. Are you interested in the person? Even if you're not interested in the topic that they're talking about, can you get there outside of yourself? That's the impact. And then when you leave the office, we're not surgeons. We're not changing lives that would, just awe the world. But we are doing little things that do matter. And so for us, it's the impact in our communities. So we have a job, we're contributing to society. What are we doing with that in our own spare time? And each one of us, we had someone who was really interested in orphans, and she served at an orphanage. And I thought that was so special. My husband does a walk for water. And then as a team, we've done Food Lifeline, where we pack food. It's always a competition for us, though. It's like, who can do the most? Because then, other people it's farther along on the chain, and other people can do less. And so it's really everything. It's everything. And it's so big, but it's not intimidating because we don't realize how much we impact in positive and negative ways. But if we're aware of it, then I think we lean more to the positive, and that's important.
I love that you've described that, even just the smile or the frown, right? Impact. We're always having impact on somebody, even if it's neutral and unforgettable. And I'd much rather err on the side of, wow, maybe I don't remember her name or when I met her, but I remember feeling this way, or I remember a saying that she said. I'd like to be remembered that way, versus I don't know who you are, or worse yet, wow, she was a real pain in the ass. So I love that you've described it that way. That's life-changing. How about the word dignity? I've heard a couple different definitions, and I have a couple friends who've written books around dignity. How would you describe it as it works for you and the people that you work with?
For me, it's just honoring each person for who they are when they walk in the door. Each one of us carries a different talent, and probably more importantly, a different background. And that just speaks into how we look at ourselves and how we look at others. So it's really just raising people up to the dignity intended them, and honoring them, being kind, being respectful, and watching the outworkings of that.
I have a copy of a book that I'll have to give you. I just looked it up to make sure I had the correct title. Dignity Gap by my friend Bob Faby.
Okay.
You two would really connect well. And I believe that he gave me a second copy to share with somebody. And it's been a little while. So I will make sure that I get that to you. And the way he defines dignity is fascinating. He says it's not something that's earned. We all deserve to feel dignified and have dignity. And oftentimes we've gotten it wrong. We think that's something that somebody has to prove to us, or that we have some sort of baseline. No, just by nature of being who we are individually, we deserve that element of dignity. I was going to say respect. I think sometimes respect is earned, but dignity is just a baseline.
I love that. I love that you say baseline. And that's my picture, is when someone walks through that door, they already hold the dignity. And that, just realizing that and recognizing that, is really important.
I love that you said hold that dignity, right? It's not up for me to judge how they're holding it, just the fact that indeed that they're human, they exist, and therefore they deserve that. Absolutely. Any areas of your life that, in business or personal life, that you felt really challenged? And I mean, even just this, I'm guessing just this shift from kind of being numbers driven and data driven to really discovering yourself as a leader when it comes to people. But are there another story that you might share around growth and tenacity or perseverance, or something that's helped shape you, and that you get to be a role model for others?
I hope I'm a good role model for others. I think if I look at who I was as a leader, I mean, even since grade school, I was a leader a lot, but I think it was because I was a bossy bit of goods.
Oh, same.
Oh, yes. I have one dear friend I went to grade school with, and she still calls me, remember when, and I really was. And that was my survival skill too. I took home life and I transferred it into school and just I just pushed everything out and I pushed myself forward. So I look at leadership in that manner and I watch myself even through college and college leadership. And it was still very much, I faced into everything and I just went. And then there was a transition point, and I believe that's when I stepped into ministry. And I didn't know what it was all about. And I kept saying no, and they kept asking me. And finally, I leaned in, and it showed me compassion. And I think that word, compassion for other people, that was my missing link, because I wasn't thinking about other people. I was thinking about problems and solutions and how to get there and telling people what to do and how to get there. I wasn't developing other people, therefore wasn't really developing myself until I really thought about compassion. And I had a high bar because I thought, well, I made it through this, so everyone else should be able to do that too. Why are they, grumbling? But really, no one is alike, and everyone goes through their stuff at different points in time. And as leaders, we're called to be there and show them something different and guide them. And I wasn't a good guide. I was a good teller. I was a good anchor, but I wasn't a good guide. So when you have that compassion, for me, changed everything. The interest level of people and really hearing them transformed. Just looking at someone and pausing. Sometimes the filter in my head still goes way back where I'm thinking, I don't have time for this. Can we just get this done? But when you look at someone and they're sharing something, you just have to pause and listen, because they really are trying to tell you something. And it might not be work related, but even personal things come around as work related. Our personal lives impact how we show up for work too. So.
I love your honesty and humility. And I think most of us are like that. We're still going to have the little negative thoughts in our head, or feeling challenged by a conflict with somebody, or maybe we're not directly connecting as well as we thought we would with somebody. And that doesn't make it wrong or bad. It simply means that I believe I'm called to be of greater service, to put my ego aside and my judgment aside, and stop being bossy, and make room for more. Make room for more for myself and the other person that's involved. So I love that you shared that. Talk about team engagement. You mentioned how you involved everybody, of course, in the creation of the pillars and the core values and that sort of thing. Why is team engagement important, just overall for companies, but also how does that play out with your team?
For me, it started with the fact that we're around each other a lot, and we have a lot of different personalities, some very big, others kind of quiet. And it was just trying to find a way to have common ground and equal ground, because we all have our contributions. And it's just because you're a stellar salesperson doesn't mean that you're more important than our accounting person that's in the background and doesn't get as many accolades. So it was really a way to connect people together and have fun, because we need those little breaks during the course of the day. Once 2020 hit and we were in Washington State and we were in Bellevue, the shutdown was very impactful. And all I could think of was my commitment to my team. So one thing was communication with them constantly, letting them know what I was doing, who I was meeting with, what I was hearing, so they had the same information or important information, and also keeping each other connected and keeping each other focused. And I remember so we do games during the day. I sent them on scavenger hunts. I remember it being one of the most beautiful springs we've ever had up there. Lot less rain. It was sunny. And every time it was sunny, I said, okay, we're going to take a break for 10 minutes, go outside, just get in the sunshine. And then when we come back, tell me what you heard. Tell me what you saw. And we just did little things like that to be connected. And then we ended up actually meeting in the parking lot of our business, and we had a tailgate. We had Chick-fil-A tailgate one morning just so we could see each other. And I realized how important that was to people. And you get this sense of community and gratitude around Thanksgiving. And really, it should be every day all year long. So team engagement is part of showing that gratitude, is part of that connection, and knowing, who needs a little extra coming alongside and who needs a little bit of space. I think that's important. And you don't know that if you're just going through the motions of the day. You might not necessarily sense that. And when you're remote, I think even more so.
What I envision with this Chick-fil-A story was this while we were social distancing. And so help me picture this. It's in the parking lot and everybody is socially away from each other and probably masks when they're not eating.
Yes,
And I thank God it feels like it's been a long time ago.
Because, we had to navigate this with different beliefs of what was going on. And that was really something that I kept having to remind myself. It's just, I have this view, they have this view. And so we did, we backed up. You're sitting in the parking lot. We brought lawn chairs and, we're just in the big circle, kind of just hanging out and talking to each other. And that's hard. And understanding, some people believe this and that person over there is totally different, but honoring that, because really none of us knew 100%. We all had our inklings and our information because of our own experience, but no one knew what was really going on. So it was just a way to kind of ground us together too. And I remember the message. Actually, I don't remember the whole email, but I remember thinking, who knew that pouring into our community would mean staying home and not going out? Who knew that that was the way we had to serve? And so I remember sending an email in the evening, and I said, tomorrow morning, we're going to come to work and we're going to have our morning meeting, and then we're going to pack up our stuff and we're going to be prepared to work from home, because that's what we're being told to do. And that's how we can best serve our community right now without all the information. And we have the privilege to struggle through this together, where other companies don't, and they're just shutting down. So I just said, let's just remember that this is something that not everyone else can do, but we can. So we're going to just kind of struggle our way through it. And I think that was important.
Well, again, being transparent, showing up as a leader, guiding people, helping them feel safe and comfortable to the degree that you could, honoring the vast approaches and thoughts and beliefs around what we experienced when again, none of us had the answers. I don't know that we still do, but what a time to be in leadership. I remember showing up here to Mac 6, and it used to be a very bustling co-work space, and most, we were shut down for quite some time. I had to go remote, so people were not coming in the studio anymore. My clients who host their own shows were remote, and I sat in here by myself, and many times I just thought, wow, what a different time. Or even showing up, we all remember the grocery store and showing up there and having the shelves empty and thinking, okay, this is impactful for me. And I live a decent life. What is this doing to families and individuals who aren't surrounded by love and faith and have the people that are there for them? So yeah, I'm thrilled we're talking about this today. And I'm also glad we don't talk about this very often anymore on our shows, because we're far enough, I think, away from some of that initial stuff. And then remind me again when you landed in Arizona.
Interestingly enough, the fall of 2020 or late September of 2020.
So
right smack it. My story is a little unique, and my mom had a stroke. She has dementia, and our area was very shut down. So we actually brought her from Hawaii to Washington for better care. It was a really difficult time, and we thought, if we can get her here in this area, how much better it will be. Unfortunately, she passed 2 weeks after we moved down here. So that was difficult, but it was a very hard time, especially dementia. I'm just thinking, this woman, what is she thinking? Mom, I'm trying to explain to her why the masks, why I can't see her, and, why the glass barrier. And, it's hard to make sense of it all. So for me, after all that, I thought, well, no, okay, this is a new start for my family. This is something different, a different journey that we're
Mhm.
on. And my father-in-law has been down here for many years. That's why we started the business down here. And so, it's just something different, some more sunshine,
Yeah.
a little bit of fun.
How, if I might ask, thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that about your mom. I lost someone very close to me about that same time, my husband. That was 2019, October 2019.
Yeah.
And then 2020, the world shut down. And part of me was
Mhm.
like, well, thank goodness everybody else is feeling their own sense of pain. And I say that jokingly,
Mhm.
but there really was some relief that it was such a shock and surprise to lose him.
Mhm.
And then it was such a shock and surprise to experience what we experienced
Yeah.
worldwide. With you having lost your mom, if I may ask, how did you find your way through still showing up as a leader
Mm.
and navigating that grief?
Well, you should ask my family. I think it helped in some ways because I was present. That's where I chose to pour into, to maybe even avoid the pain, the grief, the just in awe. I remember my husband stopping me and just going, well, you've never really talked about it. And then I remember saying, yeah, I'm going to go to the grocery store and grab a head of lettuce and probably start just bawling for no reason because it's all inside. But I think when we grieve and we have hardship, it opens our heart in its rawest form to be able to recognize and notice when other people are also suffering and in grief. And for me, that it's always made the difference.
Mm.
It's always, and maybe deep inside, there's a part of me that maybe likens myself to them. And so that drawing to them and wanting to help them is in some way helping myself to navigate that.
Hmm. I can certainly relate to
Mm,
that. Again, it's being other-minded,
yes.
and we're all going to have heartache and
Mhm,
hardship in some
mhm.
form or another. And if it's not happening to us, it might be happening to somebody that we care deeply about. And to be
Yes.
able to be there for folks. And it sounds like your family was there for you and let you
Yeah.
charge through, and also gave you space to land when you needed to spend some time
Mhm,
reflecting.
mhm. And I think that's the special piece. I will say one sacrifice that my daughter made when we brought my mom was we just took all her furniture in her room and we put it in my mom's room at
Mm.
this home. And my daughter never complained. I mean, she stayed up till all hours of the night emptying everything so we could take the furniture. And she probably stayed on her floor with nothing for several months because COVID settled in. And she never complained. She's not complained to this day. And I thought, man, that's amazing. And they really were. It's amazing. Mom goes down and sometimes it just feels like everything's falling apart. But mom went down and my family rose and didn't ask much of me, didn't ask for, any words. They just did. They were
Mm.
doers. And I love doers.
And your team sounds like a team of
Oh,
doers.
they are.
Are you
And
expanding? Let's talk about the team itself at Summit Group Solutions. Are you looking for more teammates? And if so, who is that?
so at this time, we're just focusing on our external IT contract team
Great.
and growing our business there. It's probably a little slower than I can't say I didn't anticipate it. I've been doing economic updates for 6 months. And so here it is, here we are. But there's a lot on the horizon, definitely. And when that happens, the first thing to normally expand is our recruiting team.
Mhm.
So recruiters and then account managers. Right now, what I've done is we've pulled in two other really strong leaders. We have a senior director of operations who has been with us for 4 years, and she's incredible. And I'm really excited to have her, and then a recruiting director as well, so that I can go do other things and they can grow and our team can expand.
Awesome. And who's a likely candidate for this extra that you said an external IT? Who is that you're looking for
Oh,
there?
I mean, those contract workers that we'll bring on for our
Uh-huh.
clients.
Okay.
And so it just depends on the needs of each of our clients and their timing.
If I'm an IT person and I'm listening and I'm
Mhm,
resonating with you and your personality, your
mhm.
leadership style, even though I'll be, hired out for a
Yeah.
company, where would I gain more information or do they follow your group, Summit Solutions?
Yeah. We have, so our website, summitgroupsolutions.com, we have a page, a career page like everyone else. We're also on LinkedIn, Summit Group Solutions. And right now it's really a little bit of fun because we are getting a lot of proactive candidates. And so what we're trying to do is just put them in front of other people, especially in the IT arena. Sometimes you have people screening that don't know IT. So it's like checking a box. So we try and get them in front of the right people or help whoever's reviewing resumes to really understand why there's a match there. So, it's sharpening our skills and it's helping other people.
It's the best way to do it.
It is.
Are these folks often already gainfully employed when they're starting to interact with you?
I think when we started off, most of them were. And now I would say it's about 50-50.
And that's okay either way.
It's okay either way.
Yeah.
As long as we're not pulling them from something they love. We want to make sure that it's the next phase for them is the right phase for them. So that's really important to us. We're not just taking people and just, shuffling them around.
Yeah, that's clear with everything that you've said about the leadership and the way in which you guys run Summit Group Solutions. You mentioned that you're on LinkedIn. Are you yourself, you have a company page, but you yourself, are you active on LinkedIn?
Yes, I'm very proud to say I try. I made a commitment to my team. I think it was last October that I made that commitment. Might have been a little bit before that. And I updated my profile and I've really tried at least once a week, but I'm aiming for twice a week. So I try and be active. It's interesting because I feel like that is a bold step for me because I'm a very private person. It's been actually quite fun meeting other people. So I'm having a good time.
I love it. And again, you're surprising me because you seem like an open book and really appreciative of your vulnerability and your willingness to share and talk about some quite personal things as you've journeyed your way through your career and just life. So thank you for that. Again, tell us the website and then where's the entry point for businesses and or folks looking to be placed?
So summitgroupsolutions.com is our website, and there's a client page there, and there's also a candidate page and about us if you want to read about us and really get to know what we represent. And of course, LinkedIn, we're all on LinkedIn, and any one of us are very happy to meet new people and talk about next steps and next phase. We can't help everyone, but hopefully we can connect them to other people who can.
Excellent. Oh my goodness. It's been a joy. I knew I would love this conversation and I look forward to the next time that we get to connect. So thank you for your time and spending a little bit of your afternoon with us.
Thank you, Karen.
You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneur Center. Some media lean left, some lean right, and we lean business. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.